Hello again, it's me, and today we're going to see what we can get away with on YouTube. Okay, over here, I found the most recent mature rated one that has various things that make me think it might be spicy. Now, the first chapter... Okay, so this is Gushing Realities Collide by Magia Stan, Ghost Echo 53. Hiragi Utena finds herself in an alternate timeline after something goes awry in her world. And suddenly the shoe is on the other foot when she realizes she's not only in an alternate timeline, but back in the past as well. Things get awkward when she realizes there is already a Utena here, so she decides to reinvent herself. Then she gets recruited by VAT? Okay, so it's like an alternate timeline, multiple Utenas, so it sounds pretty fun. More importantly, let's see. Well, more importantly, it is rated mature. There are certain other tags and warnings. Lesbians. Okay. Great. But the first chapter is a note. And then they are laying out how the chapters are going to be, which probably means they've done a lot of planning, which is always cool. I mean, that's not how everyone writes, just in general. But, I mean, whatever works. Okay, next chapter. So, real chapter. No summary, we die like... honestly, I don't think I see many people post chapter summaries anyway, so don't worry about that. Everything was normal, or as normal as it could be, all things considered. What with feeling like she just went through some kind of unfathomable hell that could only be explained by the sudden retreat of Nemo and Korisu from the break room of Knocked Base. Then the sky fell. Utena was surrounded by the screams of her teammates. Everything was falling apart before their very eyes as chaos erupted all around them with Knocked Base collapsing. That smug little puppet bastard was still grinning even as she lost consciousness. Oh yeah, so what I'm doing, and I might want to, I guess, explain that a little bit. I'm going to see what I can get away with reading on YouTube. So, I don't know if this one's going to suddenly turn into porn, but that would be great for testing purposes. So, anyway. When she came to, she was greeted by a strange sight. Herself, but different, and a different mascot as well. This other variant of her could only be described as a plants-based villain. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, Utena is kind of plant-aligned by base, by default. The mascot, she eventually learned was named Vera, offered to send her out of this reality as it was unnecessary for her to be there right now. With no idea what was happening, she agreed, falling unconscious shortly after. I kind of want to see more about the plants-based villain. This time when she awoke, she was somewhere new. It looked like she was in Panda Park this time, except the swings were a different color. In the distance, she could hear Tres Magia fighting against the forces of evil, and when she went to investigate, well, she was more confused than before because there was Baizer and Enormita, but she remembered this battle. Utena later came to the conclusion that this was not her timeline either. It was extremely different and also appeared to be set in the past rather than the present, as this battle can't have been long after the Civil War in Enormita. She didn't want to leave. Something told her there was no getting back to her own world. So with a heavy heart, she chose to stay in this one and make a new life. All things considered, she couldn't really be Utena here after all. She was thankful for the bag she had with her, wherever it came from, as it had clothes, money, and some perishables. Oh, I bet the other mascot probably gave it to her when it sent her off. Okay. So she's deciding to stay in this world that is set in the past. And there is probably going to be an Utena here after all, despite what she thinks. Utena wandered for a while, going to the next town in order to make some changes. First, she bought hair dye. Again, I'm not like a professional reader. I just love Mahoako Fics. She bought hair dye and dyed her hair a more vibrant shade of violet. Then bought contact lenses and a pair of glasses, as well as some magical girl merch because she couldn't resist. Then she returned to Sendai and rented a one-bed, one-bath apartment near school. It took her several days to find some sort of part-time job, which ironically turned out to be at the same store Michiko worked at. Oh my god, this is going to be great. Oh. Yes, please work with Michiko. She quickly enrolled in school, ending up in the same class as the others. So thankfully, she at least knew some of what was going on, even if she joined partway into the semester. Utena introduced herself as Violet Nakamura and ended up seated opposite from the other Utena, and just hoping that no one noticed the resemblance. Haruka, chipper as always, greeted her and immediately brought her into the conversation, introducing her to her friend Sayo and her girlfriend Karuko. Ooh, I do really love Haruka-Karuko as a pairing. She thought her head was going to explode at this revelation. Come on, Utena. I mean, I know right now it's like pretty much only Karuko knows, and then I believe Pesca suspects it. So, several hours later, she found herself alone in the alleyway behind the store, taking out trash, when she was approached by a small floating creature with big ears made out of white fabric. It introduced itself as Vats and commented on the fact that she had quite the magical potential, asking if she would be interested in becoming the leader of a secondary team of magical girls in this city to fight alongside Tres Magia. Ooh. Okay, so not just like joining Tres Magia, but like a second team. She barely contained her excitement as she told the little mascot she would, and received a purple transformation heart from Vats, taking on the ironic magical girl name of Magia Violet, taking some inspiration from Petunia to be a plant-themed heroine. Okay, that's rad. Okay, that was a cool little prologue. Someone remind me what the city they lived in is named. Does it have a name? Oh, it's probably like, Fanon. Like, not canon, but like something that the fans have kind of decided. But that's cool. Okay, I did like that. But it's not porn. So, Gushing Realities Collide from Magia Stan, Ghost Echo 53. Very good prologue. Not porn yet. So, let's go back into the manga tag. I'm thinking that because I have glasses, so I'm thinking the reason that my model's eyes droop and look closed is actually because of the white mode. Because I was just testing this before and my eyes were fine. But now with the white mode on this accursed website, so maybe I'll use a different browser where I can actually use dark mode. Okay. Anyway, random porn. Let's see. For random porn, I should probably filter by explicit. Well, I just saw mothers. Ooh. Reassured by her mother's acceptance. Oh. But does she? No, she doesn't, her mother. Oh. Oh, that's a fun pairing. I don't know if I've seen that. In fact, let's see how common that is. Oh, there are 16 orcs in it. Oh, okay. Anyway. The sin of lust by man with boy. I mean, BOI could mean something other than boy, so I should probably stop getting myself shot in the face. What was I doing? Oh, yeah. Mothers. Again, we are attempting to find pornography. If there's like YouTube filters, I would like you to detect pornography. And if this video does get exploded, I will go back and reread that first one by Magia by person, Ghost Echo 53, because it would be unfair for the time that I read theirs to also be the time where I'm get destroyed for hunting porn. Okay, let's see. So some things in here also make me think that perhaps there is some stuff with sexiness. Motherly advice from Wyrdsmithe. I don't recognize that name. A few days after the fight at the Minakami Shrine, Utena's mother finds Utena's newly acquired stash of S&M magazines. Send those my way, please. Since she has a bit of experience in the scene, she decides to confront her daughter about her newfound interest, if only to make sure she knows the proper etiquette. Oh, but Utena's so good at BDSM etiquette. I don't know why she would possibly need any sort of teaching training. Jail time. Reassured by her mother's acceptance of her sadistic nature, Utena learns to accept and embrace the darker part of herself. Realizing that it's just one part of her multifaceted personality, she learns to embrace the dark without forgetting the light. And somehow it changes everything. Excuse me. Okay. I'm lots of mom, lots of BDSM. So I think maybe there's going to be some spicy stuff in this one. Chapter 1, Motherly Advice. Chapter 1, Motherly Advice. Interesting. Utena sighed with more than a little frustration as she made her way home. Gym class had been harrowing for all the usual reasons and then some. She wasn't particularly coordinated or athletic, so she'd done poorly as usual. Worse, when changing into and out of their gym uniforms, Utena had a hard time keeping her eyes from straying, and had taken all she had to keep her magic suppressed. Oh God, that's got to be like another massive fear she's going to develop. Because yeah, when she's around a lot of like undressing girls, and when she's hella gay. Just a week ago, Utena would have confidently been able to say she'd never had a lustful thought in her life. Arousal wasn't something she'd had any experience in it at all. Even when they'd learned about arousal and stuff in health class, she'd been sure the teacher in textbooks had been exaggerating. Nocturnal emissions, orgasm, she'd never experienced those things. And vaginal lubrication? Surely what health class talked about was an exaggeration. What she'd experienced for herself was way less messy. At least that's how it had been before she'd become a dark magical girl. Yeah, now it's like constant state of that. Her transformation had awoken something in her, something she'd never experienced before. It wasn't an exaggeration at all, she now realized. If anything, health class had been playing it down. Oh my, Utena. Wait a minute, look at that scroll bar. How long is this? 13,000 words divided into 4 chapters. Well, we're still trying to find landmine porn, so here we go. If these newfound bodily reactions weren't bad enough, she also had to deal with her magic. 2 days ago at the shrine to Inari, she'd accidentally transformed without meaning to. Ever since then, whenever she became aroused enough, her magic would start to roil and swell, just like it had done that day. If it gets bad enough, I might transform accidentally again, she shivered. My cat is eating her food over here, so if you hear slooshy, suspicious sounds, that's not me. That's my cat. Okay? Anyway. To make things worse, her eyes had been open to the beauty around her. Before, other girls were just other girls. Being naked or seeing other people naked was embarrassing at worst. Not arousing, not exciting, and not something she longed to see. Now, though, a low-cut top was enough to draw her eyes. Changing into and out of gym clothes in the classroom? These days, it was becoming an exercise in temptation and self-control. I probably would avoid bringing my transformation device to school if that was a problem. Because, like, what are you... She specifically doesn't really target civilians. But imagine if she did. She just explodes in gym class and then just ties her entire gym class up. That might be a fun fic to explore. There weren't any girls in her class she'd call ugly or unattractive, but there were a couple that really stood out. Minakami-san's tall stature and bountiful curves immediately came to mind. She was easily the most attractive girl in class. No, in the whole school, she corrected herself, remembering how she'd looked dressed only in her underwear. Aside from Minakami, Hanabishi was also very pretty. Not as generously proportioned, but super perky and youthful. Like a flower just beginning to bloom. Tenkawa, who transferred in early in the school year the previous year, was also super cute. Her long blonde hair and slightly upturned nose gave her an air of innocent sweetness, further enhanced by her petite body and short stature. It was enough to make her want to... The heavy breathing was my own addition. Utena felt the swelling of her magic and violently cut off that train of thought. I do like how even when she doesn't know that they're the magical girls, her natural tendency is attraction towards the magical girls because she is a true magical girl stan. Ah, that was close, she shuddered. If I transformed out in public like this. Utena ducked her head and did her best to keep her mind blank as she made her way home. She didn't live too far from school, so the trip didn't take very long. I'm home, she called out as she entered the front door. Welcome home, her mother, Hiragi Hiroka, called back. Please come see me upstairs, Utena-chan. Oh, yes. Please come to mother. Coming. Not yet, you're not. After slipping out of her shoes, she did as her mother asked, only to find her bedroom door open. Curious, she peeked inside and found her mother sitting in her desk chair facing the door. Mom? She asked. Come in and take a seat, Utena, her mother said, her tone gentle but unyielding. Okay, Utena meekly replied. She crossed the room and sat on her bed. I was cleaning your room this morning when I found something in your desk, her mother began. I'm sorry for snooping, but given the nature of these items, I felt we should have a talk. A cold spike of fear shot down Utena's spine. Dreading the answer, she stammered, What did you find? Hiroka grabbed one of the SM Club magazines and held it up for Utena to see. I can explain. There's no need to explain, Utena-chan, Hiroka said, her voice soft and understanding. I was your age once. You're beginning to explore yourself and your sexuality. It's completely normal and expected. However, her mother trailed off, her cheeks flushing a bit in embarrassment. These magazines are a bit, she trailed off, coughing into her fist. Well, they're a bit advanced for your age, I think. Advanced? Utena whimpered. Yes, you're going to need the child's S&M magazines, I'm afraid. But don't worry, Mother's here to help. Advanced, her mother confirmed with a firm nod. There's nothing wrong with S&M, dear. Most couples experiment with it at some point, even if only a little bit. Not everyone is into it, and only a few really enjoy the more extreme activities, but it's not wrong or evil. Maybe a bit deviant, but... Her mother trailed off, flushing a bit more. Utena's cheeks were already an atomic red by this point. Now my question is her mom going to show her the etiquette in person? Well, Hiroka cleared her throat. Interest in kinky play is fine, but I wanted to talk with you about it before you begin experimenting on your own. Mom, Utena protested, burying her face in her hands. I know this is going to be an embarrassing conversation, Utena-chan, but I think it's important that we talk about it, Hiroka told her, her voice turning a bit stern. Do we have to? I think we do, she confirmed. Her eyes softened a bit. Utena-chan, what you see in these S&M magazines, it's not real. Or rather, it's exaggerated. All pornography is exaggerated for the camera. I just don't want you getting the wrong idea and trying something you or your partner isn't ready for. I think we need to discuss the realities of S&M play so that you're prepared for it in real life. When you get around to it, that is, which is sooner than you might think, Mom. Mom! Utena, she returned, a hint of amusement in her eyes despite her flushed cheeks. This isn't something I want to talk to my mother about, Utena protested. Oh? She asked, a smirk growing on her face. Would you prefer to talk to a teacher then? Or maybe a psychologist? Or maybe... Her teasing tone turned a bit sultry. Reaching out, she took Utena's chin and lifted her head up. So they were making eye contact. You'd rather talk to a mistress, Utena's eyes widened and she pulled away. Mom! Hiroka's sultry look melted into embarrassment. Lowering her hand, she murmured, Sorry about that, force of habit. It was getting really hot for a bit there. Habit? Oh dear. Hiroka flushed and looked away. Just pretend I didn't say that. No, Mom, please, teach her your ways. Utena shook her head. Nuh-uh. Habit? You mean you? She pointed an accusing finger at her mother. Explain. I was hoping to wait a few more years, but... Hiroka let out a gusty sigh. You know, Hiroka, if you're going to talk to your daughter about S&M, you can't just keep a secret that you're into S&M. Turning towards the stack of S&M magazines on Utena's desk, she leafed through them to find one in particular. Turning back around, she held it up for her daughter to see. Pointing at one of the women on the cover, she asked, "See this? That's me?" "Eh?" Utena exclaimed, shocked. "Mother, I have gooned to that one. In specific, many times." Oh dear. The woman Hiroka was pointing to was dressed in a tight leather corset and matching panties, thigh-high leather boots, nearly shoulder-length leather gloves, and a mask and hood combo that hid her identity and covered her hair. The woman was holding a riding crop in one hand, the other end resting on an open palm. A sultry, cruel smirk pulled on luscious red lips, showing the camera just who was in charge. Hot. "Well, you see, I didn't do very well in school," Utena-chan, Hiroka explained. "Oh, I get it. I only barely graduated from high school, and I didn't go to university at all. I couldn't support myself on basic jobs like waitressing or being a barista, so I eventually gave in and became a hostess. The economy was doing poorly thanks to the disappearance." "Okay, that's awesome. I'm sorry, Utena, but I just, regular school and such, it just wasn't for me. It wasn't a one-size-fits-all, so I became a dommy mommy. They'd learned about the disappearance in school. A bit more than 30 years ago, all men on the planet just up and vanished. Good riddance. I mean, no offense. After weeks of confusion, a magical girl team in Great Britain, the Round Table, explained that their nemesis, the dark magical girl Faye Wicca, was responsible. Faye Wicca was an extreme misandrist and female supremacist, and believed the world would be a utopia without men. According to the story, she'd murdered 21 mages, the male equivalent of magical girls, sacrificing their lives and magic to empower her evil ritual. Man, you shouldn't kill all men. You should just turn them into women." In the aftermath, there was a gathering of nearly 100 magical girl teams and their mascots from all over the world to try and correct the issue, but there was no undoing what had been done. In order to prevent the extinction of humanity, though, they were able to conduct a ritual that would allow women to impregnate other women, though thanks to genetics, only girls could be born this way. Stop describing the perfect utopia, damn you. If two women had sex with the intent of procreation, magic would combine their genetics and create a viable embryo. It was thanks to that ritual that Utena had been born at all. I feel like I should be playing the Jurassic Park theme song. But I like this world. With the disappearance of men, there was a major loss of expertise in many male-dominated industries. Infrastructure started to break down until women could be trained up to take those roles. Many governments had to institute a draft, forcing the unlucky draftees into the dirty, dangerous jobs that had been left unfilled. It was a rough few years, but thankfully most of the world pulled through. The decade after the disappearance, though, was an economic downturn, many times worse than the Great Depression. The only saving grace had been the reduced global population. With fewer people, there was less strain on infrastructure and resources. As women were trained and educated, they began to fill the roles left empty by the disappearance, and the economy stabilized and recovered. Her history books had called the event the Lost Decades. So Thanos was right? He just had the wrong demographic. I just drank something. It was diet soda. One of my regular clients eventually introduced me to S&M play, and I discovered I had a talent for it, Hiroka sheepishly explained. Eventually, I got a position at an elite S&M-themed hostess club. I didn't want to have to explain this to you while you were so young, so I didn't talk about my job very much. Utena opened her mouth, blushed, and closed it again. But now, considering your extensive collection, she said, gesturing at the neat stack of magazines on her desk, I think I should educate you on the basics of S&M play. And it should have been a good thing to tell your daughter that you're good at it, but I guess I can understand why you would hesitate. Oh, my kitty's eating food again. Do we have to? Utena whined. We do, Hiroka confirmed. Utena whimpered. Now, the first and most important thing you need to know is safety, Hiroka began. Utena buried her face in her hands as her mother began her lecture. Hiroka explained that many of the kinks in S&M had the potential to be dangerous or even deadly should the worst happen. The first and most important aspect was to assess the safety of what you and your partner were attempting, and to mitigate risk as much as possible. For example, when playing with bondage, it was important to use quick-release buckles or snaps, or easily untied knots if playing with rope or cloth. It was easy to accidentally cut off circulation or breath if a sub was bound incorrectly. If something slipped or gave way, it could lead to a dangerous situation. Breath play was particularly dangerous and should only be attempted under carefully controlled circumstances. A proper dom should be present and aware at all times if there was any chance that something could go wrong. Yeah, don't use so if you're like new or if you're not new and the other person whips out the what are they called? Man, I don't even remember the name. But if they whip out those little plastic tie things that can only be removed by cutting them off, you might want to rethink some things. It might be fun to imagine tying someone up and leaving them there for hours, but that should never be done without a way for the sub to free themselves just in case. Better a naughty sub getting free than to come back to a corpse. Yeah. See, a naughty sub getting free, you can punish them. A corpse, you're in a different situation now. Hiroka also discussed other safeguards. Safe words were useful, but a bit outdated. A red, yellow, green light system was preferable. Red meant stop. Yellow meant to ease up, and green meant keep going or do more. In situations where a sub can't speak, for example if they are gagged, you must use a noisemaker or a drop toy in place of a safe word. Drop toys are toys that light up when struck or dropped, and a noisemaker could be anything that makes a loud, distinct noise, usually a bell of some sort. The goal was to get the dom's attention when the sub couldn't speak. Now that we've discussed a bit about safety, let's talk about consent, Hiroka continued. Definitely Utena's biggest weakness is going to be consent. Ideally, you'd want to obtain clear and firm consent before doing anything with your sub. If they're completely against a particular activity, it's important that you respect their hard limits. However, part of S&M is pushing boundaries. It's a careful balancing act, but... well, I guess the thing with Utena is she's kind of just... anyway, she's a villain. We'll leave it at that. But, I mean, I'm interested in where this is leading to. Especially if it manifests in her Baiser form. From there, Utena's mother covered taunting, teasing, enticing, and challenging. A useful way of obtaining tentative consent was by using a Batsu game, penalty game. That is, set up a challenge where the sub gets a reward for winning and a punishment for losing. If you want to introduce something new to the dynamic, you can propose it as a punishment for losing. It's important to propose it in advance and give the sub a chance to decline, and even more so, a chance to stop it if they truly didn't enjoy it. That led into Hiroka's golden rule. The ultimate point of S&M play was pleasure. However, it wasn't just about the dom's pleasure. If the sub wasn't enjoying it as well, it was just abuse. It was important to watch your sub's reactions to determine if they were enjoying themselves or not. To that end, the most important aspect of being a dom was control. Not just control the scene or control the sub, though both of these were vitally important. The most important part was self-control. Self-control. Losing control of your emotions was absolutely forbidden. If a dom loses control, it is all too easy to go too far and hurt your sub. Worse, you could damage their trust in you, and thus damage or destroy your relationship with them. I'm thinking this might help Utena in, the daily problem she's been having with self-control. So that might be, something that'll help her just get through the day, even, learning this sort of, discipline. If you find yourself getting emotional, and especially if you're getting angry, you must stop and step back from the scene, Hiroka lectured her. In the heat of passion, it's easy to do things you'll regret later. Do you understand? Yes, mother, Utena murmured. Speaking of relationships, we should talk about aftercare, Hiroka said after a brief pause. Scenes can get extremely emotionally charged. Both physical and emotional hurts need to be cared for once the fun is over. It's important to soothe your sub's hurts, especially if you've engaged in humiliation play or NTR and NTS play. That means tender, loving care and affirmations of love and trust. As Hiroka explained, a part of S&M was breaking the sub down, both physically and emotionally, if they were into emotional play. What separated S&M play from actual abuse was the act of building them back up afterwards. More than soothing the physical hurts, soothing the emotional hurts could make the bonds of love and trust even stronger. Reassuring one's sub that the things the Dom said weren't true, or, if they were, it was something you loved and cherished about them, and was therefore nothing to be ashamed of. Managing shame is an important part of aftercare, her mother said. If you've pushed someone into doing something they never thought they'd do, sometimes they feel intense shame over it. But Utena, just like your interest in S&M is nothing to be ashamed of, their enjoyment of something new and unusual isn't something to be ashamed of either. People are complicated. We all have hidden depths. It might be something we're embarrassed about or something we didn't even know about ourselves. But it's important to learn to accept these parts of ourselves and to accept these parts of our loved ones. Praise and affirmation go a long way, Utena, and you should give them out liberally during aftercare. That is like the opposite of everything Utena does. She just loves making them feel bad. Praise, huh? Utena mumbled, her thoughts wandering to encounters with Tres Magia. Her mother affirmed. Speaking of, I just want to say that I'm glad you have an interest in these things, Utena. Eh? Glad? She asked, shocked. Yes, I had been wondering how I was going to explain it to you if you ever found out about my job, she said, cheeks flushing as she looked away. Knowing that you're interested in S&M means I don't have to hide this part of myself from you. It might be a bit embarrassing to talk to your mother about such things, but I want you to know that I love you and accept you for who you are, no matter what. Mom, Tana murmured, her eyes welling up with tears. Plus, if you're ever confused or need advice on S&M play, you can always come to me, she continued, her tone turning a bit teasing. I have plenty of experience, after all. Mom, Hiroka laughed. Ara, you're just too cute when you look all embarrassed like that, she said, closing her eyes and basking in the feeling of schadenfreude. Schadenfreude? I saw it coming up and I was like, Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude. I was like, I am sure I can pronounce that. And then I actually got to it. Mo. Oh, Mom, Utena moaned and complained, I'm assuming. That's too much. Now I think I've covered the most important bit, Hiroka told her, a wistful smile on her face. If you need guidance on more specific knowledge, such as how to properly tie shibari, I want you to come to me. Otherwise, I have a list of websites here. She pulled a piece of paper out of her pocket, unfolded it, and held it out to Utena. Eh? Websites? She asked, taking the paper and looking it over. Yes. Not porn sites, but proper S&M guides, she explained. Real people engaging in real S&M play, not paid actors. The first 3 are general how-to guides and guidelines. The next 10 or 12 are specific guides for specific kinks, like rope play and such. The last 2 are forum sites where you can read discussions others have had. Though you're too young to make an account, so... Right, Utena mumbled. Just remember to come to me if you have questions, okay, dear? Hiroka reiterated. I'll always support you no matter what, all right? All right, Mom. Now it's getting late. I should get started on dinner, she said, standing up from the chair and smoothing out her dress. She paused for a moment and carefully scrutinized her daughter. I think you should explore that first website until dinner. There's a list of kinks and their descriptions on the homepage. I think you should read through, see what you're interested in, and what you would absolutely never try. It's important to know your hard limits. Flustered, all Utena could do was nod. Does Utena have hard limits? We'll find out if we keep up with this. Well, I'll leave it at that, Hiroka said, making her way to the door. I'll call you when dinner is ready. All right, Mom, Utena mumbled. Just before Hiroka was about to leave, Utena called out to her. Mom? Yes, dear? She asked, pausing at the threshold. Thank you for telling me, Utena said, unable to meet her mother's eyes. And And thank you for supporting me. I thought... She trailed off. After a long moment, Hiroka prompted her. You thought... I thought you wouldn't understand, Utena mumbled. This kind of thing is... Hiroka giggled. Oh, Utena, even if I wasn't into this kind of thing, I'd still love and accept you. You're my daughter, and nothing could change that. Besides, most people wouldn't care one way or another if they found out you were into S&M. It's only the prudes that'd get upset about it. That's right, only the losers. Which is how I consider prudes to be, because just leave it alone if it's not your deal. Yeah, Utena mumbled. Still, thank you. You're welcome, dear. With that, Hiroka went downstairs. Alone in her room, Utena spent several long moments just processing everything that had happened. Eventually, she looked down at the list of websites she was holding. Guides and guidelines, huh? She mumbled to herself. Pulling out her smartphone, she began typing in a URL. She had some research to do. All right, that was awesome. That was great. That is okay. This was just a random one I picked. I think it was like literally the most recent one. But good BDSM etiquette. Okay. But yeah, my goal was to find porn. I don't believe I found it. But because of the size of that chapter, this video is probably too long already. So that's all from me for that's all from me right now for this video. And we'll see if I can do another video where I hunt porn down. Okay. And this is Dr. Octoberpuss pressing the button that might end my video. But we'll